Starting the 4 o'clock matchups, we got the Red Hot Jets going to Denver to face the we don't know
Mile
who they
high.
are Broncos,
Mile high.
with a great defense and a Russell Wilson led offense that seems to be woefully underperforming so far this year. How you looking at this one, Nick?
So another interesting thing about the New York teams, I've also picked the Jets 5 out of 6 weeks this year as well. I didn't lean away from them last week like I did the Giants. Ended up cashing that one in again. The Jets won again. And I think this is the week where I lean away from both New York teams, not buying in on them this week. Going Denver. It's not my favorite pick either. It's a tough game. This and that Giants game were tough for me. But I'm going Denver. The Jets average more points on the road for some reason, which was interesting to me than they do at home. Around 27 points a game they're averaging on the road, which is actually really good. Breece Hall looking great. Wilson looking great last 3 games, but I think the Denver defense is going to overwhelm Wilson, and I think that as bad as Russell Wilson's been thus far, I don't think it's all his fault, but he still doesn't turn the ball over, and I think that this is the game where that defense overwhelms Wilson. Wilson turns the ball over a few times, and I think Wilson wins that turnover battle, and I think that they may be able to turn up on this one, but it's going to be a defensive battle for sure. It's going to be a low-scoring, tight game, 17-16 type of deal.
Jets defense has played very well the last couple of weeks too. Very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to take the hot team here. I don't like anything Russ is doing. Like anything Denver's done. You know, you got a Melvin Gordon coming back. That I guess is going to start now. He fumbled. They took him out. I don't know. Javonte Williams still has the most yards on the team. He hasn't played in weeks. He's been on the injury list. They're not running the ball. I don't know. I don't like what Denver's offense is doing. Maybe you're very well right that this is going to come down to defense. But I just really like what Bryce Hall's doing, and he's really running hard that last game. Breece Hall. I'm not betting against that. I'm going to take the Jets here. They're nice and hot, and I like that run game. Sauce had a pretty good game, so I see Russ struggling again, and I'm going to go Jets here. I'm going to Red Hot Jets.
For me, it's the number 4 ranking scoring defense for Denver, allowing only 16.5 points a game, though they are 31st in points per game on offense. Yeah, but Bradley Chubb and Patrick Surtain and them boys, I think they're going to handle business. But go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I'm rolling with you, Nick. I'm going Denver here. I like a lot of what the Jets are doing, and it's tough to saddle up with Russ and that offense. But I think they're capable of making enough plays. I think this is a very big game for them. They lose this one, they're losing touch with a lot, and there's some definite maybe changes getting sped up with the new coaching staff and stuff. They're teetering on some ugliness right now. But I gotta stay with that Denver defense week in, week out. That thing has been impressive. And you're right, Eddie. Breece Hall. You got me saying Bryce has been fantastic. I think it's going to be troublesome against this Denver defense, and I think you're right, Nick. I think Zach Wilson is going to face a different animal in this defense than he's faced in his previous couple of starts here, coming off the injury report. So I'm gonna go Denver. I don't like it to be pretty. I'm thinking like a 17-14 game because there's not a lot on the other side that gives me any kind of confidence. Latavius Murray, no. Melvin Gordon, no. And just watching that the Los Angeles Chargers game, and they had every opportunity to win that game, and it was shotgun draw after draw to a not very athletic Latavius Murray first, second down, and it was just time after time. It was like they weren't even trying. There was no creativity within the offense at all. The only offense that they were able to manufacture was off of Russ scrambling to make throws, whether it was the Judy. Sutton was completely absent from the game. They got they get paid to do this stuff. They got to see it when they watch the film. Like, you got to do better. And I think they're going to have some opportunities. You're right. Sauce Gardner did look good last week, but that was against Romeo Dobbs. I think Judy and Sutton are a level up in competition for him.
I could agree.
And I think the opportunities will be there for both of them against the Jets secondary, although the front seven has performed great. And they're going to get some pressure on Russell.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you this right now. As good as that defense is, as good as Denver's defense is, they're letting up over 100 yards a game. And what better way to control a stout defense than to allow 100 yards a game? I mean, that'll allow Breece Hall to dictate the game, dictate the clock, and allow the Jets to control things in their favor. And then you can't say the same thing about Denver on the other end. So I mean, and then you look. The Jets are 3-0 on the road. The Jets are scoring more points on the road. I mean, like, everything's facing in the Jets' direction. All you can stand on over there is their defense. And I'm sorry, that's not enough for me. The run game, though, the run game of the Jets, if they can stop that, which it already shows me every single week they can't, because they're letting up 100 yards, and Bryce Hall easily get 100 yards. So.
Well, the caveat to that is the Chargers were moving the ball with ease, but they weren't cashing in with touchdowns. Now, I can't sit there and flip around and be like, well, the Broncos are scoring touchdowns. But they were settling for field goals.
Number one in red zone defense, Denver.
Yeah, that's a big deal when you can't, Zach Wilson, since he's been back, hasn't shown that he can throw a touchdown pass. He's caught a touchdown pass, but I want to see him throw a couple of touchdown passes. And I'm in Zach's corner. Trust me. Like, that was one of my guys that I thought was going to take a little step forward out of the rookie crop from last year. So I'm pulling for him. And they definitely have the offensive weapons, although Elijah has been totally gone from the pass offense, and I kind of shake my head about that. But
asking for a trade.
It's tough there. You got to shake your head. The kid's got a lot of talent, and he proved it last year. But the Jets are not a throw-first team since Wilson came back. They were a throw-first team with Joe Flacco, so you kind of shake your head a little bit there. But Breece Hall has been phenomenal. And if the Jets are going to win this game, you're right, Eddie, that's where it's going to come from. So I'd definitely tip my cap at the way you're looking at it, for sure. Next slate, though. We got the Houston Texans. Little bit disappointing start to the year. I think everybody had a little bit more scrappiness level for them. Maybe not wins and losses, but just to be a little bit more up there, maybe where Jacksonville's sitting this year. Going to visit the Las Vegas Raiders. Another team that has been record-wise disappointing. Now, not in Eddie's book, because he expected a slow start with the chemistry between McDaniels and Adams coming back, getting his feet wet and all that good stuff. Nick, how you see this one? Vegas Raiders coming off a bye.
Yeah, so I was talking to Eddie about this off camera. Both teams coming off the bye. Raiders coming off the tough loss with the whole Devontae Adams deal. Pushing that guy. I hear he's not getting suspended. They're going to try and handle it in the legal action, which is good for the Raiders. You want him on the field. Josh Jacobs has been doing great things. 2 great games, 150 yards in 2 games, couple of touchdowns. Looking like his old self again, kind of bouncing back with a bounce back season. With a very, very poor rushing defense in the Houston Texans. I think that Josh Jacobs gets back to work, bullies this defense. And I think the Raiders, they need to win this game. 1-4, they're too talented to be 1-4. Houston, there's nothing really over there to change my mind about this game. What do you think, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you here. I think this is where Vegas really starts to put their foot down on the gas. Obviously, they're very upset about a very, very close game against Kansas City, a divisional opponent. They got to be, shaking their heads, looking at each other, going, "We should have won that game." I just don't think that the Houston Texans are going to come back off a bye and stop what the Raiders are going to try and do. I think the Raiders are really going to put their foot on the gas pedal here. And the rest of the season, I think we're going to see a different Raiders team. And it may very well just start with the Houston Texans. I hope it doesn't take another week. I think it'll be this game here. And this is what they'll need to just get it going, That's what I think. I think that this is the Raiders. This game here is going to set the tone for the rest of the Raiders season. I think they could very well show up, show out in this game, and really just keep that ball rolling because I have a very talented team. To only lose to 1 point 30-29 against the Kansas City Chiefs, which is regarded as second, if not third best team in the league right now. I don't even know that some people will put them at second. I'm sure some people will put him at first. That they'll say that they think that he had an incredible game and the team failed him against Buffalo, and it wasn't Mahomes, it was everyone else. I don't know, but I'm going Raiders here because I think the Raiders are finally going to get it turned around here, and it'll be against Houston.
I agree with you. I think they listened to you a couple of weeks back on the show, which was feed Josh Jacobs. Why you're not running the ball a little bit more? And I think they finally have found their balance. Although they've come up short in the win-loss department, working in the run with the pass is the recipe that they need to stick with. I'm concerned about Waller though. Still banged up, had a hammy, pulled him out of last Monday night's game. Like, they're going to need that third option for Derek Carr in this offense with Devontae Adams and Jacobs running well. At some point, I hope for the Raiders' sake, Waller can get healthy, get right, and start producing just at a medium level. It doesn't have to be superstar level, but I think that's a real key for them over the middle of the field and just a big body target to give somebody else an option for Derek Carr to throw the ball to. But I agree with you guys. I think they cover the spread. I think it's about 7 points last time I checked. I think this is a good, solid get right. I'm happy to see the thing worked out so far for Devontae Adams because I personally didn't feel like he deserved to be suspended over that one. Figure it out on the sidelines and get that thing sorted out. I don't think it was as big of a deal as what it appeared like in the heat of the moment. But I agree with you, Ed. I think the Raiders do start putting one foot in front of the other and continue to go forward. I got a quick question, and this is to preface it, the next game coming up. Right now, who do we like better? And just give me the team. Who do we like better moving forward? Is it the Chargers or the Raiders? Nick?
That was a good question. Hell of a question, actually. Right now, the Chargers, just because the Raiders haven't done it yet. But I can completely agree with Eddie. I looked up the Raiders' schedule after he had said his point, and if they can beat Houston, like they should, handle business pretty easily here. Their schedule after that, their next 5 games are pretty easy too. Jacksonville, Colts, couple of easy games ahead that they should start to get the ball rolling. Could possibly be 4-5, 5-5 here coming week 10. But I think the Chargers more so, to answer your question.
Do it.
I like the Raiders moving forward because the Chargers are just not doing it. The Chargers are just underachieving. They look worse than they did last year. And J.C. Jackson is at $85 million, not getting it done. He got benched. Now he's all emotional all over it. You have some guys that are working out in the free agency. Joseph Day is playing.
Mack's been a beast.
Is playing incredible. Who'd you say?
Khalil Mack.
Yeah,
He's been good.
yes, sir. Khalil Mack come over from Chicago and didn't miss a beat, but it stinks because Bosa goes down for the year. So we really are like kind of like right where we were the year before. So it just stinks, you know. And then you really haven't had a running back emerge, you know, out of that group. You keep drafting a running back every single year. You're drafting a guy. Drafting a Roundtree before you signed Spiller.
Wrap it up, baby. We gonna get into this next game. You can talk a little bit more Chargers.
Yeah,
so
I'm
you're
going
on the
Raiders.
Raiders boat.
Yeah, I like Raiders.
I'm on the Raiders boat too, moving forward. I think the possibilities are higher for them. Not that much higher, but if I was to pick out of those two, even though the Raiders are sitting where they're sitting right now, and regardless of schedule, because it's going to be pretty similar between the two of them, I would still go Raiders over the Chargers, just because the Chargers, like you said, they look like the same Chargers as last year. I can't trust them.
It just stinks because what's really going on with the Raiders is their offense is going to start clicking, but the defense is still letting up all of these points. Like the defense is letting up 26, 27 points a game. It's not that's not good. So when the offense starts clicking,
you got the same problems on offense. Keenan Allen missing time, like that's the same old Chargers.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
If it was all healthy and there.
Yeah.
And
but I told
great
you
contributions out of Gerald Everett as well.
But I didn't like their receiving core. I haven't liked their receiving core for a while. You know, I don't. I mean, I'm not saying they're not bad. They're not bad. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
the line hasn't been very good either.
Yeah.
Obviously
Slater going
down. Going down is a big hit, but that whole Denver game,
Zion is looking promising.
Not good.
Zion looks promising, and moving forward, you know, next season and on, I think they'll be good there.
Well, teeing that up, it's Seattle traveling to the Chargers. Seattle has been another surprise, sitting there at 3-3, knocking at the door of the division lead. Crazy enough as it is, it's a reality. And they're going to face the before-mentioned Chargers, who we've talked about, who, you know, I think a lot of people had higher expectations for where they would be based off of off-season moves and what they were able to do last year.
Including myself.
How do you see this one, Nick?
So this one for me is the squeaker of the week. For sure, Eddie was talking about it earlier. This is going to be a hell of a game. I think that this comes down to Justin Herbert just having a little bit more capability and my trust in him to get the win here. As good as Geno's been, as good as the secondary for Seattle's been, but the defense as a whole for Seattle has been very sus. The secondary's been very good. Woolen and who's the other kid over there?
You got Woolen and
talk about Jackson.
Yeah, Michael Jackson has been playing very well.
Tariq Woolen, those boys have been playing their hearts out for sure. Probably one of the best DB duos in the league. Shout out to Ree. With that being said, I think that Seattle with Kenneth Walker, I think that the struggling Los Angeles defense is going to struggle to maybe tackle Kenneth Walker. He looked good in his outing, coming out there starting last week with what's his name being banged up, Penny being banged up, and then so there's good things happening for Seattle. It is kind of crazy they're 3-3, but I'm leaning Los Angeles. I'm going Chargers. I just trust more in Herbert to get it done at the end of the day. And I think that's what separates it for me. Even though Geno's been good, this is a tough game, tough pick for me, but Los Angeles.
No doubt.
What say you, Edward?
I'm going Seattle here. I just like it. I just like their fight. You know, they're a scrappy bunch over there. They're playing well. And the Chargers are struggling. And I think that that secondary is going to have no problems covering this defense, these receivers for the Chargers. I mean, look, Keenan Allen's tall, so is Woolen. So it's going to be a hell of a game. I think that Nick's right. I think that it's gonna come down to the wire. I don't think that this is gonna be some blowout. I think that this is gonna be a really good game. I think this potentially could go back and forth. I'm going Seattle.
I gotta agree. I think this is gonna be a situation where Seattle is gonna own most of the day, and I think it's gonna come down to Justin Herbert having to bring his team from behind. I'm looking at like a 16-9 situation to where the Chargers are going to have to come from behind. And you're right. I think the DBs for Seattle are going to match up very well against whatever the Chargers can throw out there. It looks like Keenan Allen's iffy from all accounts that I've heard. He's kind of leaning toward just playing it through the bye week because they're on a bye next week. And then Nick Sweetheart, which named Palmer, concussion protocol. That leaves you pretty thin. That leaves you with Mike Williams, who Woolen matches up perfectly with because he's 6'4" and he runs faster than him. I think it's going to be very tough on this Chargers offense this week.
I think if I could cut you off, I think what would allow the Chargers to win I think the one thing that could allow the Chargers to win this game is Eckler. I think this, if the Chargers, somehow devise Eckler into all of this.
He's a matchup nightmare for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I think they can win this with Eckler, but I'm going Seattle.
I'm gonna go the Chargers. I really want to go Seattle in this one, but I think the Chargers are gonna steal this one at the end. The Seahawks, I said it in our, divisional wrap up when we did the show back in the offseason. They're going to be in every game. They've got a lot of young talent building blocks to work with. Walker's been uber impressive, and everything else that you guys mentioned as well on Seattle's benefit. I will side with what Nikki said at the end of the day. I'm going to go Herbert. I like what you said with Eckler. And I'm going to go Chargers. This is one of those games where it should be Chargers, but they're shorthanded. The offense was sputtery against the Broncos, couldn't cash in when it counted. I think they're going to have similar troubles this week as well. But I think they find a way to get the win and kind of break the Seahawks' hearts this week. Next 4 o'clock game we got here is KC. It's a big matchup. It's a past Super Bowl matchup. KC against the 49ers going to San Francisco. KC coming off the Buffalo loss, where they look to be a step behind the Buffalo Bills, in my opinion, at the end of the day. And San Francisco coming off a pretty unexpected loss, I think, for most, when they traveled to Atlanta last week. This is big for both teams. I think it's bigger for the San Francisco team, personally. What do you think about it, Nick?
Kansas City. This one's pretty easy for me. Kansas City's just, I agree with what you're saying, Charlie, about them being a step behind Buffalo, maybe per se, in that game, and then losing to the Colts. Correct? They lost to the Colts a few weeks back.
Pretty bad.
So I wouldn't say that it's the Kansas City Chiefs from last year or the year before per se. I feel like Tyreek Hill is definitely missed. We've talked about it all season. Eddie's been talking about it all season. Tyreek Hill is definitely missed. I think if you can shut Travis Kelce down this game, that San Francisco can have a chance, but they're too banged up over there. I don't think they have enough going on the offense to overwhelm the defense of KC, which is a pretty good defense over there as well. Mixed with that high-powered offense, even without Tyreek, they've showed that these guys, Juju Smith had a good game, his only good game, but he had a good game last week and showed that he can fill a role. Maybe not Tyreek Hill's shoes, but he can fill a role and being that splash guy, and then Travis Kelce doing what he does, and Mahomes just week in and week out continuing to make like just special plays, that only he can make. So Casey.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, man. I'm gonna roll with KC too, but that Niners defense, it's hard to bet against. But
they're banged up coming into this game.
No, I know. But they've been banged up for 5 years, and they're in the playoffs every year. So that doesn't tell me anything. But Travis Kelce though, huh? Leading receiver on the Kansas City Chiefs. That's interesting. That's interesting. Guy's getting old. 7 touchdowns, 455 yards on the year. How about Mahomes? 17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,700 yards, 229 attempts, 151 completions. Interesting. Garoppolo, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 148 attempts, 94 completions, 1,153 yards. Garoppolo's the real deal, man. He's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback, man. I just don't know if he's good enough to be the guy to just go and win it all. He's definitely good enough. He's definitely good enough. I mean, they're a different team with him in, right? Could we say, that that he's definitely the better of the two over there, even though you gave the house up for
Lance. I agree. I think it has.
Debo got the money.
Well for
Debo got the money. Debo's not having the
Lance got hurt.
Debo got the money. He's not having the same kind of season. I don't know. The 49ers are. I'm going KC. They're the hotter team right now. They're really hot right now. Even though they lost against Buffalo. I mean, that was somebody had to lose, right? I mean, I'm going KC here. Yeah, it's tough though. Because, the Niners are going to come and play, banged up or not. I'm going KC.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm going KC too. I think KC is going to pull away from them in the end, just execution wise. Mahomes continues to be Mahomes, no matter who he's throwing the ball to. You're right, Kelsey's been a beast still. And the game plans that Andy Reid is able to devise continue to produce at the end of the day. Different style of getting the job done. But Mahomes leads the league in over 20 plus completions. I was surprised to hear that today. So they're still manufacturing big plays. They're coming differently. It's not necessarily all air yards, it's catch and run, but they're using the talent that they got and they're getting the best out of it, whether it's McKinnon or it's Hardman. Whether it's Juju, catch and run. So they're making it work. And San Francisco's defense, year in, year out, no matter if they're banged up or not, they produce, they come to play. Jimmy's going to have to do it through the air. I don't know if you can get enough consistency out of Ayuk, although he had a great game last week. Debo hasn't been as much of a factor, but doesn't mean that he can't be that kind of factor. He seems like he's still healthy. And the way Shanahan is able to devise a game plan on the flip side of things is usually up there with the best. I think there's going to be a point in time where San Francisco is able to keep this one close, but I think it gets away from them in the end. I like it like 31-17. I think these are two different leagues of teams. Even when you're talking about AFC to NFC at this point in time, too. And that's what I got on that one. Moving forward to the next one. This is the night game. Sunday Night Football features the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Miami Dolphins. To me, two very similar teams. Looks like we're getting Tua back. Looks like he's going to start this week.
How you feel about that?
Be interesting if they can pick up where they left off. And Pickett has practiced in full this week off the concussion. So I don't think they've quite named a starter yet there in Pittsburgh. But that's a good sign for Pickett. How do you see this one shaking out? This is a tough game.
Return of the concussions, huh? Is it Tua soon? Tua soon?
Hey.
That was good.
Anyway, Tua is
Good.
coming back. He looks like he's ready to go. They did say Pickett was practicing too, so it looks like he might be a go. I just want to point out that Tua Tagovailoa is 11-0 as a starter for the Miami Dolphins.
You do every week.
Dude went 8-0 to end the season, and he's 3-0 this season. So I don't see why you got to pick against him, especially with what they were doing in the first 3 weeks. Go with Miami Dolphins. But what I would like to see is Mitchell Trubisky is definitely better off the bench. It's been proven. He's good off the bench. I feel like they maybe need to do some of that Saints action and maybe have Pickett and bring out Trubisky to close it out. I don't know. That might work out well for them. It's kind of funny when you talk about the NFL, but maybe they should. I don't know. Miami.
Yeah, this was a tough one for me. I mean,
It was Tua soon.
yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. I'll go. I'm gonna go Miami Dolphins here, even though this Tua thing's really crazy. You know, like seeing that on the field, like seeing that happen, and now this guy's gonna come back in that game, and what happens if it happens? And I don't even want to talk about that, but that's wild. Just glad he's coming back. Hopefully, he has a safe game coming back. I'm gonna go Miami Dolphins here. How about Tyreek Hill? Just 700 yards on the season, only 2 touchdowns. You think Tyreek Hill's missing Mahomes now? Who's missing who?
But he's spreading the ball out evenly, nice with Waddle and Tyreek. I mean, I don't think he's missing Patrick Mahomes. I think he's producing for his team and doing his part as well as everybody else.
I think he'll be missing Mahomes come playoff time because Mahomes will still be playing and Tariq will be running around on the beach. But I think he's loving it in Miami, so I don't think that's really a problem for him. But I think that's the only missing nothing. I'm going Dolphins too. I think Tua is going to provide a spark to that Dolphins team, and you're right, Nick. He clearly has, and Tua's played really good. I wish the best for his overall safety. I hope he has gone through all the necessary steps to prepare himself mentally and physically to be healthy and get back out there. I think it's enough to get past this Pittsburgh team. I kind of feel Trubisky, Pickett, like you said, Nick. It's kind of the same animal. There's a little bit of differences to me, but they look very similar to me, mobility wise, the way that they throw, the way that they're reading defenses. I do like the intangibles that Pickett showed. You know, the fire, the youngster out there just playing with no fear and stuff like that, but that only gets you so far, and then you start, needing to be able to read defenses, make the right throws, make the right decisions, and stuff like that. I think Miami's defense is a little bit better than Pittsburgh at this point in time, minus Watt, and I think Miami takes it. I think it's a very close game, though. I never like to bet against Tomlin in situations like this, but I'm going to go with Miami on this one as well. I'm going to ride with y'all. Last game of the week, Monday night thriller. We got the Patriots coming in hot, looking all of a sudden dominant, maybe questionable opponents in which they did so, but that defense looks right. Running game looks right behind Stevenson. And they're going to go to Chicago, which Chicago darn near back-to-back primetime games for the Bears. Last time we saw them, they came up short against the Commanders. And this one's the game to wrap it up. We've been spoiled, I think, for the past 2 night games that we've gotten here the past couple of weeks. This one maybe a little bit less luster, but nonetheless, who do you got in this one, Nick?
I'll tell you one thing: if Bill Belichick's not going to have Tom Brady on the field, he's definitely going to have a good defense. And that's what he has, and that's what he's sticking with for this season. That's what he's putting his money on, and getting his boys into the playoffs. I'm going New England. The Bears suck, and they really suck. Not much good things I can say about the Bears. I'm sorry to put it so blunt like that, but they're bad. Chicago is definitely they need to do some big changes, whether it be in coaching or some moving around. But it's going to be a few years before they get back on the bucket. But New England, that defense, like you said, Charlie, I agree with you. Stout defense. Whether Mac Jones is playing or not, I don't care if Matt Patricia's throwing the ball. I'm still going New England.
I think it's
Eddie, how you
interesting.
see this one?
I think it's super interesting to note that as bad as Chicago is playing, they don't have one person on the injury report. So for that,
Because nobody's playing. Nobody's playing good. They're
right,
not getting hurt.
because they're not playing good. That's a way not to get hurt.
You
I'm
can
going-
play good to get hurt.
That's true.
You're questioning the effort level, I feel like.
Effort level, that's better.
Yeah. Wow, the Bears are 2-4. New England is 3-3. I'm going New England here because it's the logical, sane thing to do. Unless you know something I don't know. I see this being an easy win for the New England Patriots, and I don't care where they play the game at. In my driveway, New England's going to win. So I'm taking the New England Patriots here, and I just wish they would just give Chicago something. I don't know what they need, but it's a lot. They need an offensive line. They need a lot of stuff. Just help Justin Fields out. Block for him a little bit. Maybe he could do something.
Don't do it, Charlie. Don't take
Going
this
Patriots.
out.
I'm going Patriots.
Yeah. It's tough in this circumstance to go with the Bears just because everything the Patriots do well
But you're gonna, right?
is what the Bears do poorly.
Go
It's
on.
tough. It would take a lot for me to be able to pick the Bears
Justin
this
Fields.
week.
That's
No,
what I like
it's
to
good.
hear.
It's good. It's
Me
gonna
and
be
Eddie
tough.
didn't
It's-
give you a whole lot
I'll
to
let-
go off of either, so.
No, there's not a whole lot to go off of. It's tough to build a case for the Bears. I don't like the Patriots still, but legitly, they've been winning the games they should have won the past couple of weeks. They've done it with the backup's backup in Zappy, the rookie out of, I think it's Eastern Kentucky, Western Kentucky.
Getting happy
Western
for that
Kentucky.
Zappy.
It's kind of question mark on whether they get Mac Jones back. I don't think that's necessarily an upgrade in my book. I don't think the passing attack is what the Patriots are going to have to rely on. For the Bears to win, it's going to take turnovers. They're going to have to get some defensive scores. They're going to have a lot of things kind of melt in their favor. So, I mean, I'm going to stick with the Patriots here. It's a big spread. I think it's up to 10 points. Honestly, the way their offense has performed, though, it's probably fair. But I don't think the Patriots are that good. Like, it's not so much telling for me about the Patriots as it is for the lack of talent that the Bears roster has. They've definitely got some studs out there. They've got some pieces, but they're few and far between. And at the end of the day, I think coaching comes into big play here. I mean, it's a big mismatch right here. You got a rookie head coach up against Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick might be in his feels thinking they can make the playoffs this year. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so personally. But Patriots here to wrap up the week. That's a sweep.
Interesting stat, real quick. I just wanted to spit out that Chicago Bears points per game is exactly what Denver's putting up with Russell Wilson. So I just figured, yeah, I mean, Jerry Jeudy,
Like that.
just saying, just saying, as bad as we're
Did
talking
the Bears
about,
play the
the Bears
Broncos at
right
some
now.
point this season?
I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying nothing else.
Offense as a whole, like there's not a lot of teams. I heard some more red zone stuff. I think the stat was last year the league average in the red zone at scoring touchdowns was 69%, and this season only 8 teams are at a 69% clip. So the production all around with just scoring touchdowns for league wide is down. Field goal kickers are getting workouts, and I don't know what you chalk that up to. I don't know if you chalk it up to better defense, being better prepared, or whether it's a younger crop of quarterbacks and maybe quarterbacks that are playing that shouldn't really be playing. But it's interesting that there's definitely been a lack of scoring. Taking a quick look at the Thursday night game, they seem to have fixed that a little bit. The Cardinals definitely pulling away and finally scoring some touchdowns, something they couldn't do last week.
The Saints just scored, as you said, that 35-24 now.
There you go. We got a shootout finally. So maybe this is the week we get some fireworks all around. I'd like to personally see a little bit more scoring. I love good defense. I really, really do. But to see it just league wide with offenses being so inept as a whole has been tough to watch at times. It's been boring football for a lot of it for me. So I hope we do get a little bit more scoring. Just balance it out a little bit more. But that's the pick show for week 7.
Hey.
Runner routes. We'll have Brady back on the show next week. Brady's picks will be posted alongside of us. We're definitely going to hold him accountable. Nick enjoyed it. Eddie, as usual, enjoyed it.
Love
Let's
doing
get
it with
it,
you.
boys.
Try to give you guys the best lead I could. And
You did
we'll see
incredible.
y'all next week.
You did
Yes,
incredible.
sir.
luck.
Hey,
Good luck to everybody.
running routes, like Charlie said, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, know where to find us. We'll have the links down. You know what I'm saying? We're working on things, getting better every week. Keep hitting us with the comments. We'll keep hitting you with the flame. Love you, boys.
Peace.